LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. This is a Fatback 4 special brought to you by bookmakers.com. Check out their website and their YouTube channel in the description, and you might see my head on their channel once a week as well. So if you want to see that, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't want to see it, subscribe anyway. You just don't have to watch the video with me in it every Friday. I've brought the man, Seany, who pulls no fucking punches on anything. Right down to who's the best fucking right-sided midfielder in FIFA. He will tell you who it is. If you don't like it, he'll tell you to fuck off. So, Seany, we decided to do this show, me and you, and we decided to split it into two. We're going to talk about Liverpool right now, and we're going to talk about Liverpool, what they should do moving forward from now. We're going to look at the hierarchy of the club, the management, the players, the fan base, whatever we come across. We're going to touch on different bits and pieces as we go through them. Then we're going to get into what Liverpool should do in the future. And again, going back to what's the story with the ownership? What should the management looking to be doing for them? What players we should be looking at or where we need to strengthen? So we'll try to split them up as best we can. Are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, I normally find these shows cathartic after bad results or whatnot, but you kind of had to stew on. And to be honest with you, I said it last night myself on it's kind of hard to get annoyed at it. There's so much ambiguity going on around the club at the moment in terms of just ownership and other shit and just football in general. I'm kind of burnt out from it. I kind of find myself, and I said it at the very start of the season, I'm not getting too caught up in it, and I think I've kind of succeeded in that, because it's kind of I sort of saw last night coming, because there was remnants of it in the Villa game, the 20 minutes in the second half where we looked very much the same, and I thought Leicester was a particularly difficult watch the other night, and I didn't really see us having the fight away to it, because they've taken a few scabs there home anyway. They're a decent side, no doubt about it. They are a decent side. They're sort of like a Marks and Spencer's Stoke. I seen them, someone refer to them as, where they're just very direct and tough to play against. But Jesus Christ, there's been tough to play against, and then there's been easy to play against, and that's just been Liverpool since the start of the season.
Yeah. Like I said, we're going to split it up into where we are now and what we think. And this isn't gospel, by the way. Don't take it as Seany and Gav said that this is what Liverpool should do and that's it. We're just going to give our opinion on what we think Liverpool should do on certain levels moving forward in the next, well, possibly 3 weeks, 4 weeks in that transfer window into the summer and beyond in different parts of the club. So let's start off with now. All right. I mentioned Liverpool's owners to you earlier. And when I did, you hit the nail on the head and you went, this is a stability issue, right? And what you meant by that is that we can look on the field and absolutely pull players apart or give them credit or whatever it might be, but you feel that what's going on, or presumably going on at the club with regards to the hierarchy, is affecting not only the management, players on the pitch, and definitely the fan base. That's where we are now, Seany. I want to talk later about what we should do with the ownership, but how big of a factor do you think this is? Because I more or less agree with you when I actually sit down and think about it.
Yeah, like you go back to like the very start and what we were built on under Jurgen Klopp, and it's just this is harder to take for some because literally this time 6 months ago we were on the crest of doing something that hasn't been done in football, which is like we were literally, you could argue, two bounces of the ball away from winning quadruple last year. Like that's literally how close we got, and that this isn't like a pain thing or like just making excuses, but that is literally how close we were. But there was there was glimmers of this, like the game that we went to last year, the Brighton game at Anfield. We had a couple of injuries missing, and we just we looked all over the shop, and then we kind of everyone knew what we needed coming into this season. And when I mean it, I mean everyone. I mean fans on in the stands on Twitter. I think Klopp even admitted in the end that we needed a midfield, and we didn't get one. But that was it anyway. But then all of a sudden, Michael Edwards, you're hearing, is going at the end of the season, and then Julian Ward is stepping down, and a couple of other big wigs. Now, I don't look too much into that gap because it's one of them things where I have literally no control over whether I be negative or positive towards it won't make any difference. But like one thing, if you were to use one word to probably describe the relationship between Klopp and FSG since he's come in, would be stability from top to bottom, stability and understanding. And FSG obviously in the management sense getting the best in class in, which they did with Klopp. But there seems to be a lot of rumblings going on in the background now. Listen, I don't know whether the importance of that is overstated or not, because we are still able to do a deal for Cody Gakpo, and there was people saying, "Oh, look, the club's up for sale and they won't bother spending any money in January." But that's proved not to be true. But like this outside noise definitely doesn't help. Anyway, you know what I mean? Because it creeps into press conferences, and you have Klopp having to answer, you have Linders having to answer if it's a Carabao Cup game, and it just doesn't help anyone. And it's not a good sign, and that's for starters. But I actually think the biggest stability issue is on the pitch. I think that's where stability is the word that needs to be looked at in terms of what exactly are we doing in games to maintain control or maintain pressure. And like it didn't even take Klopp time to work that into his Liverpool team. We literally seen that on the very first day against Spurs away when Klopp comes in. We knew exactly what the team was built around. In the early days, it was Milner and Lallana and Henderson, that midfield where, look, maybe sacrificed a little bit of guile and creativity, but it was all about work, doing your job, and facilitating the attacking players or the Mavericks to do that work on the other end of the pitch. Whether it was Henderson on the right side of a tree, like filling in for Trent and allowing him to do his thing, or Genie just being an all-round workhorse. And then Milner, who they kind of rotated at the start, and Lallana as well, who ran his bollocks off in the early stages of Klopp. And the early stages of Klopp was mad football, but it was all about energy. And we seen as the years went on, it became more about control with the signing of someone like Fabinho, a specialist. But even though Fabinho comes in and he's holding the fort in a holding position, you still had Hendo and you still had Milner and Genie walking that bollocks off. And I mean, this was the foundation that the football was built on. And it wasn't like a heavy metal football. It was literally just, we will outrun you, we will outwalk you. And then when we have the ball, we'll give it to this front three that I'm at the building here. That's like nothing that we'd really seen in the league. And we dominated games, Gav. And a lot of people had issue with it because Henderson isn't a De Bruyne type player, or Gini Wijnaldum didn't get enough goals or assists, but they ever were enablers, but they were so important to the style of football we wanted to play. And then we bring in Keita, and we're expecting to see like, Gav, I'm going to caveat this by saying like this. Just take yourself out of camps for a minute. I'm not here to say Henderson is a better player than Naby Keita, or Naby Keita is this or that, or Gini Wijnaldum is this or that. Just think of the type of players that we were using and how they were being deployed. And even we brought Keita in, and he had a decent start, but he's picking up injuries. But he never looked like the Naby Keita that we were looking at in the videos from Leipzig. When he came in, it was more conservative from him. He was energetic and he was putting himself about, but it wasn't like the box-to-box fucking all-action Keita. There was a part of his game where he was just controlled, and it was obviously by design, because that's literally what this team was built on. And when you have a midfield like that who walks their bollocks off, the back four is protected enough where the front three of Mane, Firmino and Salah are literally like, do you know what, on a bad day, we might only need to get one goal here because these boys aren't giving away much at the back. And that's, if you look at the seasons where we won trophies, that's what it was built on. Look at 1920, Gav. Teams knew as soon as we went 1-0 down against us, we're bollocks here, because you're going to kind of have to catch Liverpool on a bad day. They won't give up much chances. Gav, we were at such a high level in 1920. There was games when I was getting annoyed when we were giving away chances.
Yeah, it was. It was a ridiculous level, but just trying to tie a few bits in here, right? You know, you're talking about the move we make in midfield, and we try to, I suppose, reinvent ourselves in midfield a little bit. And Keita was like, when he signed in the summer of 2017, wasn't it? But he wasn't going to be with us till 2018. Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, well, you see this fella, like, you know, he dominates in midfield, he goes by players, and it was something different. And the only thing at the time thrown at Liverpool was, they're a brilliant side, but the midfield don't assist or score enough. Loads of people were saying, but we're scoring loads. Like, how much more do you want? You know, the sort of way. And it was right at that level. And listen, I've no issue with a midfielder coming in, whether it's Naby Keita or anyone, where you go, you know what? They are so hard working, but this fella can start a game against certain types of teams or come on to influence a game in a different way. There's no problem with having different, you know, areas of expertise, I suppose, as a midfielder, and different outputs. But he was seen as a big one. But just tying it in, right, because you're talking about the signings we've made there. A lot of people have a problem with FSG, right? And we're going to get onto that in a massive way later. But do you feel right now that FSG are a bit of a smokescreen for Klopp and vice versa? Because and what I mean by that is that, you know, you have to listen to what Klopp says, right? And we all know Klopp will say mass. You know what I mean? You said that to me earlier about something. But I believe FSG should have probably spent a bit more. But then part of me is going, is Klopp making these calls where the loyalty comes into place? And do you have to tie them in? I'm not saying 50-50, or I'm not saying it could be 50-50, it could be 90% FSG, 10% Klopp, where between the both of them, they haven't planned or executed things properly. Now, people will come back to me straight away and say, oh, we nearly won a quadruple. I completely get that. But while we're winning a quadruple, we are looking and going, well, next year we're definitely getting a midfielder, aren't we? Because this fella's this age and this fella just... And listen, it's not having a go on anybody to say he's just off it a little bit because he's so many miles in his legs. Where do you hold with the management / ownership of this planning and this executing, which is coming home to roost, Shawnee? Like, no matter how much you love Liverpool and no matter how positive you are, you're looking at games right now and you're going, we're in this position, specifically in midfield for me, because we've rebuilt the forward line more or less. The defence is in the process, I suppose. You know, Kanate is probably the first big step in that, where you kind of go, lads, you've got way too tunnel vision here, and maybe Klopp wanted more and the owners wouldn't give it. Maybe the owners wanted the sanction and Klopp went, no, I like these players. Where do you stand on it? Where is it? Are they both in this together, or is one side leaning on the other? Because sometimes I kind of get the feeling that when Klopp says something, you believe him, but you can kind of read into it more where you're going, you know what, they could be offering the fucking few quid, and he's just going, oh, I really like that player, because that's his ethos, isn't it? Like you said to me earlier, his ethos is he gets a player in, he molds them, he loves them, he sticks by them, even if they want to leave, he's good to them, you know, the sort of way. Where do you sit between as the two of them as a pair?
Look, there's been many. there's been many examples like I could give of Klopp telling lies, and it's not a bad thing. I think all managers do it. I think if you look back to the annals of time football, they just do it. They never show that full hand, but I think they're about as guilty as each other in this sense, and that there has been like signs of frustrating peeping through with Klopp, and he's saying like, well, like I wouldn't mind if they took more risks, and that would suggest that maybe they loosened up the purse strings a little bit, but like it comes from, I think 18, 19 we win the Champions League, and then the window we have after is we bring in Adrian, Sepp van der Beek, and Harvey Elliott. Now you'll get people who are ultra positive telling you, yeah, but we want to win the Premier League.
Yeah,
but that was where we're in the like we only lost out on the Premier League by a point that season as well. So it wasn't out of the realms of reality that team could have went again anyway. But that's besides the point. Like if you look at all the top teams throughout time, even when they didn't need a body, they'd bring in one because you'd know. But the fact we didn't act in that window meant, okay, we didn't do it now, but it might carry over in the next window. And then it just always felt like, now we've won trophies, Gav, throughout, but like my fear was and will be when all is said and done here, Jesus, what could a Klopp done with a little bit more of a push, maybe on his side or the owner's side, or saying, where you go out, for example, and last summer, your boy Bruno Guimaraes before he goes to Newcastle. All right? There's plenty of examples.
Would you be in the position where
People
if Liverpool brought in two midfielders, whatever window, pick one, and Liverpool finish fourth, but you're kind of going, well, hold on, we've brought them in, they're really good players. We can't have instant success. You know what I mean? It might take half a season, but you're going to see it. Whereas you feel as this is just, sleepwalking into, we need three midfielders, and we're probably going to have to take the hit this summer where we bring two or three in, and you're kind of going, well, next season we won't be winning a league because we need to bed these in.
He obviously had a plan. Like we always talked about, like every August when we're coming around, we were talking about the transitions of what Klopp's trying to do next and the evolution of his team. So he's saying like someone like, for example, I made a point to you earlier, and it's completely glossed over in all of this. People blame whoever they like, whoever makes them feel bad. That's all right. I'm not going to tell anyone how to support the club. I'm not going to please them, but they blame Pep Linders or Klopp or FSG or the midfield. Like one thing that's extensively overlooked is the impact of Bobby Firmino, a prime Bobby Firmino not operating in this team, who was the heartbeat to the front players and allowed them to do so much. So again, enablers. In this team full of world-class players all over the pitch, we had enablers. Jordan Henderson was an enabler. Not everyone's cup of tea, but he was an enabler. Gini Wijnaldum, not everyone's cup of tea, but an enabler. Bobby Firmino, more so than anyone, linked everything. And we brought in Jota, who was more of a run-in behind striker. And don't get me wrong, up until injuries, we were fucking flying, and it seemed to be working, and we had Jota and we had Thiago, and you could see, okay, Thiago's a little bit more creative and Jota's getting in behind. This is the sort of the transformation, and it looked like it was working. But I'm looking now at what Klopp's doing, Gav, and it's not working. So you take transfers out and who we didn't sign or who we haven't signed or who we did sign. Like, I like Harvey Elliott. I do. I think he's a very talented player, and in no way am I writing off his Liverpool career. But there's nobody can tell me he's a functioning, right-sided centre midfielder in a Liverpool team that's going to go on and win things and do things, because he just hasn't got the ability. Now, I don't know what Klopp's trying to do, and if you look at the squad, there's so many players like him that do the same thing. Curtis Jones being one, does the exact same thing. And when I say does the exact same thing, I couldn't tell you what they do when they play midfield. They're neat, they're tidy, they maintain possession. They don't give us any solidity. And it's no fucking coincidence that with the likes of Elliott and Jones in midfield was so fucking easily played through. Carvalho's another one. Like, I don't know where they fit in the types of players that he's trying to play there.
I think they'd fit.
You could level that at Thiago But I watched Thiago in the Leicester game, and he played midfield on his own, and he didn't look like he struggled with physicality. He was putting himself about. He was winning aerial duels. He was winning tackles. He was using the ball. He's done that. He done that at Bayern as part of a double pivot with Goretzka or Kimmich. He showed he can do it. He showed he had the nose. Just they're not right-sided midfielders.
I think, but you see,
for Liverpool, and he was on the wing yesterday. So the whole Harvey Elliott thing as a midfielder, it hasn't worked for me. I see some people singing his praises, saying he's lovely on the ball and he gives us this and he gives us that. I don't know. He doesn't do a whole lot for me, Gav. As a centre mid, well, I'm not tweeting him off. He's a kid who'll develop physically. But if you ask me, when I saw Harvey Elliott, what did I say in him? I said more of maybe an attacking winger who'll come inside, sort of like a Bernardo. And I won't even say Bernardo Silva because he's a little rat bastard who puts himself about and flies into tackles as strong as an ox. But Elliott's more of a number 10 or a creative wide player who I don't see him being a number 8. He knits things together and it's nice and tidy, but it's not going to do it for us.
Well, you see, the thing is, right? The thing is, I'm pimping the stress, and I don't know what the stress this pimp is in, but if you are, send us a signal. He says, "Evening, lads, Happy New Year, love your chat. Come on, Shawnee, please tell me you believe Klopp will see the light and sort this shit out, right?" I'm sure Shawnee will get onto that in a bit. But just, I think, I like Harvey Elliott as a player. Aesthetically, I like him as a player, right?
So do I, Gav.
I think he's the victim of Liverpool sleepwalking into this midfield situation, right?
Yeah, well,
and what I mean by that is that Harvey Elliott, for me, and Klopp probably sees him as this midfielder, and that's probably part of the issue, right? Because we're talking about, is Klopp being stubborn and I don't want that midfield. I can use Harvey Elliott here. Maybe that stubbornness is there, right? But what I'm saying is that I'll put it this way: when I went to watch Liverpool at Anfield against Southampton, for about 15 minutes in the first half, Liverpool just turned into the old Liverpool. I mean it. For 15 minutes, right? Honestly, Shawnee, and I'm not saying it was swashbuckling football. What I'm saying is that Thiago and Fabinho literally went up a level for 15 minutes where Southampton got penned in, and I could start to see where Elliott worked a little bit because he was neat and tidy. He was finding angles. But in this side, I agree with you. When you're being physically outran, you cannot have the luxury of Harvey Elliott in there. You can't, because what happens is they look at Fabinho and they say, right, how can we drag him out of position? I'll tell you what we do. We go and we'll attacking basically a winger playing midfield, and what we'll do is we'll drag Fabinho while we're doing that, and then we'll hurt him. And that's where I think some players are victims of where Liverpool are, right? And there's loads of people in the chat are saying, look, we didn't plan this right. Klopp is stubborn. We should have made signings. We only spend the minimal amount and it's not enough. And again, I go back to it. You're right. When I say minimal amount, is probably the wrong word in the planet. They spend what they earn. That's just the way they are, and that's the model. And no matter how much we kick and scream about it, we're never going to get away from that. And we get onto the ownership in a bit, right?
We've never been at capacity. Like the hardest part of it to take is like, and I've seen it, and it could be just speculation, but when you read this rubbish about your man Nunes at the moment, I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like, we're going from in the summer for 44 million. Like, we just let him go to Wolves for a year when we fucking desperately need him in the field, and then you have Klopp telling you saying he's happy with the team. Now, it's not fucking hard. I'll tell you one thing. It's not James Milner's fault he's starting games of football for Liverpool this season. And it's not Harvey Elliott's fault. And it should come down on the management and the recruitment. And Elliott is going in there. And I wouldn't fault his application. He's just not able. He's not physical enough to play at the right side of a midfield three for Liverpool.
But you can't. But Shawnee, when we brought in Thiago, right? Thiago,
I reckon 19 teams in the Premier League. Nearly every away game Southampton play in the Premier League, the opposition team will dominate the ball.
No, I'm just saying. No, it wasn't even like that. Liverpool did dominate the ball, but it was what he done in a sense of what you see in Liverpool going back a year, 2 years ago, where they penned them in, and you could see then Thiago really coming into it, where you find those angles and things thrown at Liverpool going back where it's a very functional midfield, but when we pen teams in and they sit back, we don't have any ideas. That's what I'm just saying. That's where you're seeing, and he actually ends up right side, more of a right side. Salah goes inside a bit more, and Elliott starts to creates one for Núñez that scores. Yeah, Núñez. But you know, when Thiago come in, people were saying like, you know, we have Fabinho and a Henderson there, however, right?
Yeah, but
but what I'm saying is Thiago's in there, and he was seen as more of a luxury, and because of just the style of play he has. But again, I don't think But Thiago, like you said, physically great, winning headers, running around, brilliant. But I don't think you can have someone if you're going to play like this or play those individuals, and you're probably being forced to because of injuries, age, and lack of planning. The thing is, you have to adjust your output. And I go back now to the management, right? Because we're going to go big on the owners in a bit. I go back to the management. Shawnee, me and you were just two fucking idiots talking about football, right? But we were watching that Brentford game yesterday, and after 15 minutes, Liverpool have played quite well. They end up, they play okay, right? Núñez misses a chance. It's a brilliant block on the line, in fairness, right? But we're watching it and we're saying to ourselves, when this breaks, like Brentford have 30 successful passes in air half in the first half. 30. The ball's in the net 4 times. Because we're either losing the ball and we can't get back, we're too high, right? And we're not, the management, from me, should be looking at this, and this isn't me going Klopp out by any means, but surely the management, Shawnee, look and say to ourselves, right, we probably made a bollocks in midfield and we haven't done enough, but this is what we have. Can we not just put two beside each other and let Elliott fucking go a bit further forward and take a little bit off him if you have to play him? There's no reaction here, Shawnee. It just seems to be same thing and see what happens.
Everyone was going on about the midfield yesterday. I didn't even think it was the issue, to be honest with you.
Kept losing the ball, Shawnee.
Yeah, but look, Gav, the bypass that midfield every time with goal kicks. Your man Raya was just lumping it.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
You are playing by set bases, and 100% the onus has to fall because the stats come out about how many clear-cut chances we've conceded, and it's way too fucking many for where we want to be. But at the end of the day, when you have someone like Alisson, who's been... Now, Alisson, do you know what? I'll take him out of this because he's probably the only player this season who I'd abstain from any fault. Van Dijk, Matip, Robertson, like these fellas are fucking do something yourself. Get it going yourself. The second goal is criminal. Your man's taking the ball down on his chest in the fucking in the box from the corner.
Yeah.
After he had the ball in the net twice beforehand. Now you can blame fucking coaching and all, but sometimes players have to take responsibility. And the shite after the game, if Van Dijk being injured and feeling the intensity, he got fucking hooked because Van Dijk has been playing with his hand up his hole for the last 6 months. And people were saying, I think it might be the World Cup. He's just been playing with his fucking hand up his hole. Slippers on the pitch. Eunice said Robertson wasn't on the pitch. Right. That goes back to Simicast as well. Lovely bloke, great for the YouTube videos. Done all right the club. He's shy. He's pissed. He's back up at best. He's pissed. He's terrible. He's so lax on the ball. He's a bit of a quiet little brother. He's shy. He's so far. People were throwing around last year saying he's going to replace Robertson. He's so far away from the levels of Andy Robertson and his effort and intensity. The difference in Robertson when he comes on yesterday. The difference. And that's a high level operator, which is how Robertson has been since he's come in. He's been better recently. But
had a poor game against Leicester.
Yeah, he did. He put up until that, but just fucking no accountability, no leaders, gone hiding, Gav. Forget about investment and all of that other stuff. When it comes to it, it's 11v11. You should have played with a bit of fucking pride. The first half yesterday was laughable.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because, like,
what is going?
But the other thing is, right? If you're going look at Real Madrid, right, and I'm going to use this loosely, right, but Real Madrid no, they haven't got the quickest midfield in the world, especially when Kroos and Modric were in there. And Casemiro's really good, and he's shown at United at the moment, right? But they knew the one thing they didn't want to was be hurt down the middle of the pitch, so they always kept the ball, right? They kept it, and if they had to go over there and come back, and go over there and come back, they would, right? And maybe Liverpool aren't built like that. It's like get it over there and get at people and stuff like that. Fine, right? But we always kept the ball, or they always keep the ball, right? Because they know, as good as Kroos and Modric are, they aren't going to run up and down the pitch for 90 minutes like machines. Modric actually moves a lot more than you actually give him credit for, but he doesn't want to be doing that for 90 minutes. Not at his age anyway, right? Okay. But so they keep the ball, right? Or if they're going to kick it over everything, we have to make sure that our centre halves are aggressive and winning. But when the ball drops down, Shawnee, you have to have people that are they combat against the other team. They get stuck in. They might flick it back. You don't have to. I'm not asking for midfielders to win every second ball, pirouette on it, and hit 60-yard raking balls and get us attacking again. But you have to get in and fight. And what's happening with Liverpool is that we're not winning second balls, which are basics in football, right? And if we go forward with it and we lose it, we're so open, because what used to happen was Liverpool, if he lost the ball, would be on you like a light, and the ball you could hit forward was percentage at best, which meant that Gomez, Matip, Van Dijk would go, I go up against that forward because he's running into a channel, and I'll deal with him, right? Or it's coming up and I'll beat him in the air. And the fella that's pressed down this end of the pitch is now going to pick up this ball when I head it, because that's how they work. And we're not doing any of that, but we seem to go out with the same kind of outlook on the game with the players that, for me, won't work in those situations, and keep trying to do it. And that's the most frustrating thing to me, and that's why Klopp's not immune from criticism. And people saying, "Oh, this is Linders," and I'm kind of going, "Listen, if you think that's Linders, I don't. Linders is assistant manager to Klopp. Klopp makes the calls, right? Linders takes a lot of training and he has a lot of input, but that's what you want your assistant manager doing, right? And all this
Linders released a book and every manager in the Premier League picked up a copy and goes,
but that's just ludicrous in my opinion. And people don't like Linders and might think he has too much influence. Maybe he does, but he doesn't have overall influence at this club. Jurgen Klopp does. Otherwise, you would have turned around and went, no point in him signing that contract 6 months ago. What's the point? But what I'm saying to you, Shawnee,
the ideas, I don't think there's nothing wrong with the managerial ideas, but I think you need to realise that when you play high intensity football for 3 or 4 seasons, they reckon in any team sport at the highest level, optimum performance, the life cycle of a team is normally 3 or 4 seasons. It's very top, and that's with minimal change. This team is probably 5-6 years into the cycle, and the last 2 midfielders that we've signed on permanent deals is Thiago and Naby Keita. Now, that's way too big of a fucking gap between them. That's 4 or 5 years in the difference, if I'm right, yeah? There's nothing wrong with the ideas, but you can't expect the same lads to go to the well season on, season out and be half as effective as they were the season before. It's not sustainable, especially when they're all getting on. Fabinho has struggled massively.
You can be, Shawnee, if you adjust the way you try to play football. Like someone says there, high line and no press. And that sounds very simple. High line, no press. But it's very true.
They're all programmed that way.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. But the people that are programming them, Shawnee, should turn around and go, listen, we know, and they've all the stats in the world, they've all the analytics in the world, and they turn around and they say, listen, we're not pressing as much, whether it's by design or just we're not able to. So we cannot have these lads that high up, right? The reason you're able to play that high up is because you press that fella. He didn't have any time to pick out passes. Now they do. Plus, if this fella gets it and goes by our midfield, he's running straight on top of you all the time. And that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as, and it's definitely down to planning, it's definitely down to execution in, turning over players in the squad and freshening her up, right? And it's down, injuries have played a part, form has played a part, whatever it might be, but adjusting to what you need because of what you're looking at, of what you have, for me, is a massive issue here. Like, I've no issue with Liverpool turning around and says we're dropping 15 yards deeper as a defence, and we're dropping our midfield 15 yards deeper. And we're not going to go and annihilate these people on the ball. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure when it comes near our box, we're going to win the initial ball. We're going to do absolutely everything to win the next one. And then we have Salah and Nunez or Diaz or whoever who kill you on the break. Just go and do something. But they won't. It just seems to me like we've done that so long. It's grand.
There needed to be a complete reset then, Gav, because these have operated like that for... City haven't changed their system. They've tweaked it a little bit where that fullbacks now are more operating as midfielders when they have the ball, because they would have looked into it and said, you know what, when we have the ball, we're not at much trouble. And to be fair, it's probably been to the detriment this year of playing with a number 9 like Haaland. But that's besides the fact. Like, if we recruited right, we wouldn't be in this position. But we've been chasing. We've been a window or two behind since the year we won the Champions League. Would you agree?
You say again?
Well, we've been a window or two behind since that we've won the Champions League.
Yeah, I think if you need in certain areas, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up front, I've no problem. And defensively, I've no problem. In midfield, I would say if you're thinking you need 3 this window, you're definitely a window or 2 behind. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and we're starting. It's coming home to roost now. It's coming home to roost now. On top of the injuries that we've had, we've no depth off the bench because lads are injured. Jota is injured. Diaz is injured. That can't be helped. Nothing we can really do. But you still shouldn't be like... I looked there last night and Elliott starts and Kate is on the bench and Ox is played out wide. We bought both of those players to be playing as midfielders. They're about in the back end of their contracts at Liverpool. 2 players who should be in the prime. And they've given us absolutely fucking nothing. Now, that's a big boo-boo by whoever's in the club has decided to keep these lads around for that amount of time. Now, admittedly, it's hard to shift lads on big money who don't play a lot of football. I get that. We've been kind of hamstrung by that in a sense. But obviously, we're looking at this now going, right, well, it looks like both of these fuckers are out the door in 6 months' time. We need to fucking act now. And if I have to pay Chamberlain to sit on the bench or sit at home making TikToks or fucking Keita to go off and training in Guinea when he's always fit to go there, let's just fucking do it. Because it's not a want anymore. It's not some sort of lust for transfers. This is a necessity if this team is going to carry on and compete at the top level. It's so fucking unfair on the likes of Harvey Elliott, Carvalho, Jones, Bajcetic coming in, done well. But
Nunez to a point as well, I think.
Yeah, and these lads should be coming in there and learning off the likes of Thiago and all and being comfortable. And you should be able to take Thiago out for a game and go, do you know what, we're going to just throw you in for the big games. And the same with Henderson. But we haven't, because they haven't done enough. They have not done enough in these windows to rectify that. And now you can turn around and tell me they spend X amount that, and I believe that. But you can't fucking tell me it would have completely crippled FSG and the club or Klopp or whoever it is who's decided not to sanction these deals. That it wouldn't have killed Liverpool to had another midfielder or 2 on the bench. And I'm
I don't think that's ever the argument. I think for me, and this is the way I look at midfield and the way it's gone, right? I agree you're a window or 2 behind. I absolutely agree with that. The way I look at this is, it's not only the planning of who you want to bring in and refresh your squad, it's how you deal with players you don't want anymore, right? And for me, Liverpool should have pulled the trigger on Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain a year ago, right?
Yes.
And absolutely. Now, I will hold my hand up and I will say, I think they were trying to do that in the summer with Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he gets himself injured and he can't sell him, right?
Yeah.
I think the Keita thing, I don't think he's fancied anymore. Right, I think it shows in the run up to the Champions League final he's not fancied, right? And they should have pulled the trigger, and they didn't. So for me, even if I don't even know if they wanted to. If they didn't want to, you'd argue are they right or wrong. If they wanted to, they didn't execute that properly, right? So that leaves you behind. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And now for me with the midfield, it goes back to, and it wouldn't have crippled the club, because if you go back to last summer. Let's go back 6 months, never forget a year or whatever. If you go back last summer and you say to yourself, right, we're going to get 7 million quid for Oxlade-Chamberlain, just for argument's sake, right? And we're going to get 15 million quid for Naby Keita, because someone will pay it somewhere in Germany, or so, someone will do it. So let's say 20 to 25 million, and we're getting £250,000 off the books every week, right? You're not telling me that Liverpool couldn't have went out and went, we've 25 here, we need to spend 70. Let's say 70, right? Because that's where they usually go with Midfield. We're going to have to put 45 to this, but our wage bill is probably going to come down, because if we're spending 35 million on 2 players, they're probably coming in at 70 grand, 80 grand a week, right? So you're saving 80 grand a week on top, right? This isn't about transfer fees paid. It's about planning of transfers and pulling the trigger on players. They left it too long with Ox. They shouldn't have brought him away. They should have brought him away, or if they brought him away, do not start him in games. He ends up tearing his hamstring or his groin or whatever it was, right? And that's where the problem comes with. And right now, and the model Liverpool have, and we're going to go on to talk about it in a bit more depth as to what should go on. In Liverpool's model, they are looking, whether it's financially or stubbornness or belief or whatever it might be, they are sitting with 8 or 9 midfielders. And they can't, for pride or financial reasons, cannot justify not having these got rid of, having them there, still paying them, right, and bringing 2 more in. That just doesn't work in the model. And as much as you don't like it, that is the truth. Now, I think I'm with you. I would have turned around and went, listen, I'd have expected, if someone come in and gave a nominal fee in January for both of them, I'd have taken it, right? And then you could turn around and say, we've taken that, we have to sign 2 now. But that's not the way it's going to work now. The way it's going to work is we have 9, possibly 10 midfielders on the books, if you include Arthur Mello, on a rake of money as well. And they're not going to bring 11 and 12 in. As much as I'm behind Bellingham or Fernandez or fucking Caicedo or whoever it might be, I'm completely behind doing that. But at the same time, I can see why it's not being done. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but I can see why. And that's why I keep saying sleepwalking into this situation.
Yeah, but for just like park names for a minute, alright? Forget about bleeding Bellingham and Enzo and however else, alright? Look at deals that have been done by other clubs. Like, how are we not scouting the likes of Guy Mares, who went to Newcastle for? I think it wasn't no more than 35 million.
35, I think, is about the number, right? Yeah.
You probably gave him a big bump of wages, but I'm guaranteed he would have played for Liverpool for half the price. All right, there's no doubt about it. Like, why? Where the fuck? How can you turn around and go in for too many? Because we did, and we know that now for a fact we did. Klopp has said this. It's not speculation. Klopp has said this. He's literally said it, that they'd had their eye on too many, and whatever happened with Mbappe and Madrid come in and swoop. How the fuck have we not got another? I'd imagine that the outlay on too many would have been. It wouldn't have been as much as what Madrid were playing, but it would have been hefty enough, I'd imagine. Yeah, it would have been a big enough price tag. You can't tell me that Julian Ward or Klopp or whatever couldn't find somebody to complement that squad.
No, and the track record with them is that they go in with possibly 3 names, 4 names.
Yeah, but exactly. We could see it clear as day. We could see it clear as day. Everyone could. Even, look and saying, look, Liverpool need fucking midfielders. How are the fellas who are crunching the numbers and doing the stats and looking at these fellas 5-6 days a week couldn't see that we needed midfielders? And they could see we needed midfielders because they went for midfielders and they didn't get them. So you can't tell me too many stuff was at the start of the window, before the window opened, if I believe. Like, how the fuck are you telling me Liverpool, who have got so much right in the years, is it because Keita and Ox are sitting there and they can't afford to have them? And I get it, we don't have unlimited bleeding part of a void of cash to burn with players on 100 odd grand a week sitting on the bench. But surely, we've seen them doing it. They fronted up for Núñez. They paid heavy money up front for Darwin Núñez. They gone and got Gakpo. They went and got Diaz. The fucking midfield has been totally neglected.
Yeah, but again, I don't know where to put. I don't know where to put the responsibility there, because I don't. And this isn't me looking to like sit on the fence and go, I'm not blaming anyone. But I don't know whether it's Klopp, it's the manager, it's the hierarchy of the club. It's a mixture of both. And at the end of the day, me and you could sit here and argue all day, but we actually don't know. You could make arguments against it, the financial side of it, i.e., these players over here we need to get rid of, that we're paying them a fortune and our model just doesn't stretch to it. Or there's a fella over here going, I know, I'm fine with them. I couldn't get that fella. He was the only one I wanted at the moment. And we don't know. So, taking it from there, right, we're going to move on to the owners, the future. What we need we know where we are now, Shawnee. We know where we are at midfield. It's still a bit sketchy for me on what's going on with the management and the owners as to who wants to do what and who doesn't. But that's a football club. We're never going to know everything, right? But I want to get into going forward and the future of the owners, the management on field, what you'd like to see, right? 400 people watching, 118 likes. So you should be hitting that like button a little bit more. Keep hitting it and keep hitting it. Hit it now on your way out, wherever it might be. Me and Shani having a lovely time here. So, the future. And there's only one place to start with the future, and that is the ownership of the club. Because if it changes, we haven't a fucking clue what's going to go on. And if it stays the way it is, we kind of don't know where we're going to go either. But with the ownership of the club, Johnny, we go back to the start. We talked about stability, and you think the ownership is a massive thing on that. What do you think Liverpool should do ownership-wise? What would you like to see Liverpool do ownership-wise that can, as a knock-on effect, help with the management, help with on-field, and help a fan base for me that is not fed up, but kind of looking, going, getting a bit jittery. That's the way I feel when I'm listening. And this isn't me reading Twitter, by the way. This is me talking to Liverpool fans that I know when I speak to face-to-face or on the phone or whatever. What do you think needs to happen with this ownership, Shawnee?
I think for us to really compete, Gav, they'll have to move on.
Right.
And I think the fact that they've come out saying that they're open to investment or a full sale is sort of an admittance to that. Now, the top reds, I'll use that expression, will probably tell you, look, I fucking know these things take time to do. The $1 billion deals, they're so intricate, it's way beyond anything we could possibly recollect, to be honest with you. It's not like signing a player where it can be done in 6 weeks. It takes a long time. I mean, Chelsea deal was pushed over the line because governments were putting squeeze on their owners. Now, look at the fucking money they're spending. Like, FSG going, there's no way in hell they can compete with that. Or Weber's back in Bowley or whatever. There's just not, all right? And Klopp can only work so many miracles. And I think one thing that really fucking pisses me off is how much they have fucking weight on Klopp sometimes. Not buying centre-backs when we needed centre-backs and just looking for miracles. And getting them from him. Like, you know what I mean? He did. He's done it time after time. And this one looks like it might be one too many because although it's not done or dead in the water this season, far from it, it can be salvaged. Like, it's a big ask to ask Klopp with this group of players to go and compete. Look at what Newcastle are doing at the moment with big investment, and Chelsea are going to spend mad money in this window. We haven't even started with Man City, and United look like they're in the midst of a takeover as well. So I think the only way for us to compete long term, and I'm thinking when you're thinking long term, I'm not thinking microcosm. I'm thinking when Klopp goes, we're going to need a big pile of money to go up against all the other clubs who have a big pile of money. And I don't know what the story is with the side of the club. It's gone completely quiet. I honestly don't know. The only thing that we do really know is that FSG are going into the NBA. It'll happen in 2024. That's been more or less confirmed. So I don't know. I think we need to be sold. And that's one thing. The ambiguity around that at the moment, the signing, it's making me really anxious because, like, if I'm being honest with you, I understand the direction the football is going. I mean, look what they done to Messi a few weeks ago when he was going to lift the World Cup. They are throwing fucking beasts over him, and they are telling us like this supposed to be the symbol of a warrior. The sports washing the bollocks out of sport right in front of our eyes, and I think you either get on this train or you don't get on at all and you're left behind, similar to the way we were in the 90s. So I can't pretend that if someone who didn't line up with the club morally come in to run Liverpool Football Club, I wouldn't promise you that I wouldn't be going back to Anfield. I wouldn't promise you that I'd be going back to Liverpool. I think football is losing its soul as it is. Obviously, it wouldn't help. But we need fucking investment or we need to be sold because we cannot compete. We prove, it's been proved now that we cannot compete under this model. It's not sustainable. And
I think
the arguments were being all along that, well, we have challenged. Well, look now, we're not challenging now. It's not sustainable.
yeah, no, we have challenged, but when you look at it, and in fairness, if you go on, and people will say you'll sign Darwin, and I feel a bit sorry for Darwin Núñez because Liverpool over the last couple of years had forwards that missed chances, but they knew missing chances wasn't a massive deal because the fellas at the other end will just sort it all out. The three in midfield and the four at the back will give away little or nothing, and we might get 5 chances. We only need to take 1, 2 max, and the game's won. Where Darwin Núñez, to me, I think he's so lively, his movement. People are giving him stick over that one where he goes by the keeper. Every striker goes by that keeper and just lashes at the goal. Like, unless you're living in a time warp where you can slow the whole world down and see into the future. That's just the way it is. But for me, he's starting to come across Darwin Núñez as a fella that is snatching at chances because even early in his Liverpool career, he knows we're getting done at the other end at some stage and I have to make all these chances. You know what I mean? I feel a bit sorry for him. I think he's excellent. I think if Liverpool got things right in certain areas of the pitch, he'll just bang in goals and like one will become 2, 3, 4, 4 in a row, 5 in a row games wise because he's getting in so many good positions. But I feel a bit sorry for him. Robbie says with Super Chat, he says spend what you earn only works with big player sales or having the best youth development or scouting, and we don't. FSG see this, hence the cash fix or sale. Listen, we spend an awful lot of money on this model. Right? Net spend and all is, we can go down that route whenever you want, but we spend an awful lot of money. We sell quite well. I don't think we've sold quite as well over the last couple of years, but we usually sell quite well and get some money. And we've spoken, a year, 18 months ago about how we were getting great fees for players that you didn't think you would get great fees for. And you know what? The model is what it is, and we can give out as much as we want about it. It's not going to change what the model is. The only change that you're going to end up seeing is if a new owner comes in or investment. You know what? When I look at it, I agree with you to a point that the model as it stands is a brilliant business model. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant business model for bringing in revenue and spending it and competing. But when you look at football now and these clubs that cheat, I think you're right that it's hard to compete. But I don't think it's too much to ask if you said to me tomorrow, listen, we're going to bring in, there's new owners coming into Liverpool Football Club. They are going to basically do what FSG do, but they're probably going to put 100 million a window in on top of it, whatever we need, whatever we get. Right, which is, or they probably average 150 million a year. Now, people will say, "Oh, well, you get F by FFP." Yeah, owners can put so much money in every year.
FFP is a lot of bollocks.
Yeah, FFP is a lot of bollocks. But what I'm saying is that I'm against state ownership at Liverpool. I've said this, and I'm not getting into the argument now because we'll be here all fucking night. I'm completely against it because I don't think. Look, Gav, because for me, when you see the clubs that are state owned, they're nowhere near Liverpool's caliber of a club. Nowhere fucking near them. Right? So the caliber of club Liverpool are, I don't think you should be stay on. But look, that's another thing. Going forward though, FSG, I think you're right on NBA, and they're gonna have to find the money from somewhere, right? But I don't know if they let go of all their shares in Liverpool. I wouldn't be against someone coming in and taking 60% of Liverpool and saying we're buying it for this with the promise of this investment, and over the next 5 years we will increase their ownership to become overall outright owners of Liverpool. I'm not against that.
Look, I'm not bashing FSG. The way I see it is, and the way you look at it literal, I think they done really well to buy Liverpool at the time they did. They've fucking grown it into a juggernaut again. They've made us huge on the pitch, successful on the pitch, and highly successful off the pitch. The infrastructure of the club is absolutely incredible. The new stadium, the training grounds, that's all that. You have to give them credit for that. But I think they were the perfect proprietor to bring us to the top. But I think it takes a different kind of animal to stay there.
Yeah.
And
And Paul Gormley says, but Paul Gormley says there, and before I read out Super Chat, he says FSG want out, Gav. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Dinesh Karoy says, even do you think Liverpool should drop 5 yards back and play a 3-5-2, let them have the ball and Liverpool hit them on the break? We've spoken about that, and we get on to what we think Klopp and on the field, what we should do in a minute, because we want to get out of here in the next few minutes. But if FSG want out, FSG want out. All I'm saying is that, and it's not this kind of be careful what you wish for, because I think that's a bit fucking pompous when people say it, right? But all I'm saying is that I think Liverpool can compete if you brought in someone with the nous that FSG have, because they clearly have it in getting money into this club of massive amounts, right? But with someone that just comes in and goes, it's probably going to cost me between 500 and 750 million over the next 5 years on top of what we earn. But in 5 to 7.5 years, 5 years time, the club could be worth another billion on top of it. We'll make our money anyway. You know, speculate to accumulate. I have no issue with someone, and I don't care where they're from, right? Once it's not state owned, and they come in and go, listen, we're going to take FSG's model. We're going to bash 100 million on it every year over the next 5 years. Listen, the club's worth 4 billion now, probably worth 5. And in 5 years' time, we might sell it, and we make 500 million profit, and everyone loves us. I have no issue with that. But I think where you're looking at now, and I think the next 3 weeks is fucking huge with regards to signing. And we say this nearly every window, but it's absolutely monstrous in the next 3 weeks as they're going to do anything. And if they don't, I think they'll just go, listen, the season is going to go as it goes. Klopp knows it's going to go as it goes. But come the summer, someone else is going to be in charge, and they're going to go to Klopp, listen, they didn't spend that 200 million, but there it is there, and there's another 100 on top of it, and you go and do what you need to fucking do now. That's what I think might happen with the ownership.
Yeah, I was of the idea that the season probably be wrote off, and I said that already. I just wouldn't be surprised, but still, there's work to be done still in terms of building this squad, and they just can't afford to sit on their hands in this window. They just can't. They absolutely can't, because again, we're already behind windows. It doesn't matter how much money you have to fucking spend.
But it's new because you're in the summer, Shawnee. Because you're walking around as Liverpool Football Club going, we need, like, we more than likely won't have Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Milner. Melo won't be there, right? Don't count him anyway. He hasn't 30 minutes of football at Liverpool. But we're walking around as Liverpool Football Club in the summer going, we need 3 midfielders. And we're not talking the squad, because you can make arguments against Fabinho, Henderson most certainly. You know, Thiago's getting on. Elliott, does he work? Curtis Jones, does he work? There's loads there where you kind of go, these will have to play a lot of football at Liverpool. And then you're snooking yourself with paying 60 and 70 million quid for players, or 80 million quid that should cost 40.
They need to go in now with what remains in this window and do their fucking due diligence and pay what needs to be paid to get someone like a Caicedo. We need more enablers in this team. It's as simple as that. We need more. And forget about fucking Bellingham, Enzo Fernandez. We need enablers now, right now, to allow top players to operate at the top of it. Go back to it now. The quick fix now is get bodies in the middle and build on there from the training ground. Because if you can build a solid base from the middle, you're taking pressure off your defenders. You're taking pressure off your defenders as well. And then that's half of the fucking job done. Really, I do. It's so salvageable this season. We've seen what happened now. Before the break, we win away at Spurs and we win at home to City, and we have a couple of good results away to Villa and at home to Leicester. Results, not performances. Yeah. And we are right in the fucking mix, and it's doom and gloom again yesterday because we got beaten away at Brentford, who are no bleeding joke, by the way. They're no shit.
No, and listen, at the end of the day, we're 7 points off.
We're not even halfway through the season.
No, we're 7 points off toward. We have a game in hand, I think, right?
Yeah.
And all right, I think we'll end up about 8 points off towards the same amount of games played because United win their game in hand as well, right? But at the end of the day, we'll probably be possibly 4 points off fourth with 20 odd games to go, right? hopefully, right? And we've a tough run of games coming up. But it's not all over. You know, it's a bad result yesterday, but it's very salvageable if you, one, adjust what you're doing. If you have to go with the players you have to adjust the way you approach things. Or you say to yourself, we're signing that fella in the summer. We have to go and get him now. Even if it's one, just one. To say, and it's not even that he's going to come in and play. He will play a lot of football, but he comes in and Elliot kind of goes, oh fuck, I'm not going to play now, or Henderson or Fabinho, whoever. Because I think if you sign Caicedo, right, just for argument's sake, I think Fabinho, I think they're all looking around going, I could lose my place to this fella because he can play in any of the positions, genuinely. So
that come down to them fucking coughing up and fronting up the money, and I don't want to hear that they don't have it. Or do you want fucking spend it?
Well, G10 asks, G10 says, why shouldn't FSG match it though? How is it acceptable they turn 300 million into 4 billion and not leave a red cent of it after them? Well, G10, listen, in order for them to see that money, they'd probably have to sell assets, right? You know, to see that money. They only see that when they sell the complete asset at the end of it. You know, they haven't taken any money out of the club. The reason it's gone 300 million to 4 billion is because they've been very good at bringing people in and making it work, making the club successful. Yeah, have they spent enough? Maybe not at times. Have it been planned enough? Maybe not at times. There's absolute problems you can throw at them. But you won't see that. Like, people go, oh, they're getting 4 billion. Why can't they give us some of that? Well, they won't get the 4 billion until they sell it. You know what I mean? And if you want them to liquidate some of that, they probably have to turn around and go, well, listen, we can get you 100 million, but we're going to have to get rid of him. Or sell part of the fucking ground or something like that in order to get that man. That's not going to happen. That's just the way it is. That's a figure that's put on an asset that's being built, and that's just the way it goes. But the other side of it is do they put their own money in? And they don't. But that's the model. And you agree, you don't agree, but shouting and going on about it, it's not going to change the model. It's simply as that. It's like going in and giving out about the price of something in a shop. Shouting about it's not going to make them change the price. Just not. You know what I mean? But Shawnee, we speak about what we need going forward, and we speak about, you know, on field and stuff like that. But and we have, in fairness, we've spoken about, is Klopp stubborn? Is he this, that, and the other? And we've got loads of comments in on it one way or the other, right? But the management and the team itself going forward, we know it needs midfielders, right? We know that, but and if you bring 2 or 3 in, you might go, that'll make a massive difference to Liverpool. But do we need to become more flexible, is what I'm trying to ask. Because we could bring 3 in and go back to a Brexit midfield that just works its bollocks off. Let Salah and Nunez and all do its bits. And we could absolutely be fine with that. But do we need to be more flexible in a way that's not working in this game? We need to change that. We need to, you know, because I could see us getting back to absolutely competing with the right investment. I'm going in with a midfield that's functional, because I think the forward players could eat teams alive. But as a manager, assistant manager, coaches, analytics, whatever it might be, and then players on the pitch, players on the pitch get help, be more flexible, and it even strengthens Liverpool more, I suppose, going into the future.
It's the people blaming the management and all. Yeah, of course they have to fucking take some blame for setups and that like that. But there's not a manager across the league who's blameless at any one stage. Even when we were winning titles, people would say the Klopp didn't make subs often enough. I think the real issue at the moment is, looking at it for now, there's so few changes we can make to personnel, never mind systems, because we've so many fucking players out. Like, any player who made us dynamic is out. The likes of Diaz is out. Jota is out. Do you get what I'm saying? We haven't got the midfielders to chop and change. Like, we don't have the personnel to change systems at the moment. We can literally only work with what we have, and that would be much for muchness, I think, with what we have there. Well, literally fucking a Thiago injury or a Fabinho injury away from being completely fucked. So we're a few bodies in the window, like a Gakpo, for example, and I think we need 2 midfielders in this window. I genuinely do. I know you're part on the.
Well, I'm not. Listen, I'll take 2, but I'm just going on past form and where we are. That I beg for 1
to take the pressure off Hendo, to take the pressure off fucking Fabinho, just who can move and get us going again. We need an injection into the squad, because we seen what happens when you put 4 or 5 together. And the thing is, like, our goalposts and move. Obviously, the goal now is to get into the top 4 in May. All right, It's as simple as that. We're not chasing this fucking City side that are gonna do 90 points. The door will be left open once we take our chances, and we're well more than good enough of doing it. But he needs help, Gav. He needs help. He needs support. There's no point banging on about Klopp and Linders. It's low hanging fruit. It's
He needs support, Shawnee.
Yeah,
Or
but
if
it's
or
like
if there's an element of stubbornness there from him, he
Yeah,
needs a slap in the head.
yeah. Look, that's guesswork. We don't fucking know.
Of course it is. It's all guesswork.
He's probably pulling his hair out.
Hmm.
See, people are saying to me when I take Amrabat, I'm literally at the stage now where if you offered me a man fucking billing off Bournemouth, I'd take him. Honestly, just legs. And we can't go with what we have. It's not going to work. And it's not Linder's fault for writing a book. It's don't be so naive. It's like when every goalkeeper we had was shy for nearly 30 years. Poor Achterberg got it in the neck.
Yeah.
Everyone said Achterberg was a fucking... And look at Alisson. Has gone on to become one of the best keepers the best keeper we've ever had. This can turn with results. That you don't just become bad players overnight. If we got on a run, the muscle memory would be there. It would kick in. Once lads know that there's fresh blood in there to help them out. Van Dijk needs help. Matip needs help. Trent needs help. Salah needs help.
I think the fullbacks.
They all need a bit of a hand.
I definitely think the centre halves need help, or like I said earlier, I think they need to be brought back into a position where they just know what they're dealing with. Once their centre halves know what they're dealing with, like any centre half, you know you're dealing with him, and you know what type of ball you're going to be dealing with. One's down the channel or one's up to his head, right? Whereas our centre halves seem to be trying to deal with fellas charging through the middle at them. You know what I mean? I think our fullbacks need to be facilitated more. Yeah. I don't think Trent's been in the best of form, but I think he showed glimpses over the last couple of games. But if you facilitate them more, and you go back to that Brexit midfield as they call it, right? They facilitated everything.
Exactly.
They facilitated the wide men, they facilitated the fullbacks, they protected the centre backs, they done everything in there for them. And I said it to you earlier, just give me two fellas that can run around and fucking tackle and do what Henderson and Wijnaldum done going back a couple of years ago. And don't score any fucking goals. I'll take it all day long.
We can become 10% more harder to play against. We'll put more points on the board.
Correct.
Yeah, and we can ramp that up.
Yeah.
We can ramp that up to 90 if you get the right bodies in. Because we have the quality there on the ball to kill you. Like, we used to fucking make the pitch this size for teams. And if the ball spilled over or you tried to press Van Dijk, it's a 70-yard diag on the Mao's toe.
Yeah.
And Bobby's dropping in and your centre-halves don't know where to go. And Mane's buzzing about. And the space, and it's chaos. We're creating chaos. We're fucking utter nightmare to play against. It's so easy now.
Yeah. I think Olivia says the solutions are not in the squad. I agree with you. I think the solutions, you could bring about a solution for what's in the squad by changing what you're trying to do. But I think to play like we're trying to play at the moment, the solutions aren't there. They just aren't. I think if you bring Jota back and you bring Diaz back, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, because the options you have, and I think it'll take the focus off Núñez a little bit, and you know he mightn't have to start every game. And I genuinely think if he gets a goal, he'll just start. And if Liverpool become harder to play against, I think Núñez takes chances easier. He takes that chance brilliant. I know he's offside, but the goal he scores yesterday is brilliant. It's a brilliant run and it's a brilliant finish, and it was like he just lost himself for a minute and just scored. Whereas other times he doesn't look like he's thinking, but I think he is a little bit. But look, it's one of those where and people are saying like, they make all this money and they think, but look at the accounts. They don't walk away with any money. Liverpool don't earn any money at the end of the season. They just don't. And all this stuff of like Villa spend more than us and all, they don't. They don't. None of them clubs spend more than Liverpool.
No, they don't.
When you look at the accounts at the end of every year, they simply don't, right?
They was a liquidation trying to pay a wage bill.
But the thing is, like, it's not. you're not being fucking edgy and you're not being controversial by saying, look, they either need to, in my opinion, they either need to start putting more money down,
Oh,
or
fuck. No, let's
someone
be
else
honest.
needs, or someone else needs to come in and do it. Because as much as the model is great and it's down to a T, the model that you have, the way football is going, you don't want. I don't want to end up in that cheat train, but you probably have to go a bit further than what they're doing at the moment. And I think that's a fair thing to say.
Thanks FSG for everything you did.
But we need someone to push it on a bit more, unless you're willing to do it, which I don't know if they are. I don't think they are. But look, LFC or 786 says, Gav, 14 clubs spend more than us. It's a fact. They simply don't.
They don't.
I'm telling you now, they don't.
He's reading the net spend thing off Sky.
Well, the net spend thing is what you're probably reading, but the thing is, if you look at Liverpool's income against their expenditure, they don't spend more than Liverpool Football Club. Do they spend more on transfers? Yes, but they don't spend more than Liverpool Football Club, and they probably don't get as much for their players as we do, and that's just the model. Jono doesn't care about models; he wants to win. Well, that's where me and you don't agree. But I really enjoyed that, Shawnee. I think we've been honest. I think we've been fair. It brings up an awful lot to think about right now and think about in the future. And listen, we could be sitting here in 6 months going, remember all that we talked about? None of it happened. And we could be winning everything, or we could be losing everything. We don't know, because again, we're just just talking football. But we wanted to come on here tonight and talk about it. And the chat's been amazing, by the way. The chat has been deadly.
It's on the Nunes thing. It's like I refuse to believe it's true because it's so
bizarre.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's the most ridiculous thing I've read.
It's that story feels like it's sausage of the week, Shawnee.
Yeah, no, it could well be. Whoever fucking is proprietary.
Oh yeah, did your man get knocked off? What was that fella? Was it a sausage tycoon that passed away? And you said that was the ultimate sausage.
Well, look, there's no more sausages of the week. The Russian tycoons would want to stop falling out the fucking hotel windows, wouldn't they? It's all over the world these days.
Yeah, that's it.
Obviously, sausage tycoon, he would have been worth a few quid, but
yeah,
I don't think any amount of money would be worth being referred to as the sausage tycoon.
Yeah. Listen, that story could be Shawnee's sausage of the week. Shawnee loves the old sausage of the week show, and that story could be it. Listen, it's not great at the moment for Liverpool. On the field, off the field, it feels a bit all over the place. Although nothing's really being said. But look,
how it is. It's bollocks. Like we've gone from years of stability, so we don't really know what's fucking going on. And anyone who pretends they know what's going on, they really don't. Let's be honest. We were told that sales will be done by November and all and stuff like that. Do you think this is fucking DFS selling sofas or something? It's not.
Yeah.
It's completely different there.
Yeah, just picking what way you want your corner sweep arm to face and stuff.
It's hard to be all in on something when I don't know what's going on in the background. But Shawnee is my sausage of the week. That's all right, Red Steve. You wouldn't be the first person to say that.
No, and Johnny doesn't give a bollocks anyway. Right, listen, we're going to head, but we want to thank everyone in the chat. They've been absolutely amazing. Their comments, as always, have been respectful, firstly, and insightful as well. And they give, like I said, great opinion, and we throw load up on the screen. And you know what? Some of them we don't throw, we read them and then go, oh, that's a good idea. Let's start talking about that. So you do fuel the shows in more ways than you think. Shout out to bookmakers.com. Check out their website in the show description. Check out their YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, and you'll see me there on Fridays talking Premier League and doing some predictions. And they are sponsors for the rest of the season. Fair play to them. And as I said, the website is not what you think it is. Yes, there's bookmaking going on, and if it's not for you, that's fine. If it is for you, make sure you do it responsibly. But there's loads more on there, like comparisons and player ratings and injury updates. There's loads going on from all sports, so it's really, really good. And I know they're working on it to bring more and more to you. I'm going to talk to them next week about what's coming, because I like to know what's going to happen on the website so I can find it first. But Shawnee, anything else before we go?
No, that's it. Pretty much fucking Brighton away next in the league, isn't it? So
yeah, Wolves in the Cup of the weekend.
Ah, fuck that.
Shawnee, I think we're out for a drink on the day of Brighton.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, and I'm half thinking, should we go out for the game or should we just meet up after the game?
We do a rain check on that.
Yeah.
Well, we playing Southampton again.
Wait for if we get through the third round of the FA Cup and get Altrincham in the next round, we might go out for that one.
The darts was great tonight. If there's any darts on, we'll probably go out and watch that.
Listen, we'll go out anyway. We just fuck the football. We just have a nice time anyway. That's what we do anyway. Right, that's been a Fatback 4 special. All about Liverpool, the problems, how to fix them. Could we have solved it? Possibly. Do we think we did? Nah. We're probably talking absolute bollocks, but that's how it goes. That's it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.